Have you ever carried a ruck that weighed more than you or ran more miles in boots than most people drive in a car? Then you already know. The Infantry is the fastest way to destroy your body while also looking good doing it. Today, I have nothing but love for the infantry men and women out there. So, we're breaking down the top 5 injuries that every infantry vet knows all too well. And yeah, I guarantee at least one of these still hurts you today. Stick around because number 4 is an injury that 95% of veterans have in one form or another, and even more importantly, 100% of you should claim. The number 1 injury on the list, every grunt I've ever met complains about it. But do me a favor, help me help you. I realize you can just skip to the end, find out what the 5 things are, and move on with your day, but the real meat of helping me help you is what is being said, not what is written. So give me 15 minutes or less, and I'll give you enough information to put you closer to or in that 100 club. I'm Mr. X. I'm the guy behind the guy, giving you all the information you want to know and need to know about the VA claims process. And this is the VA Top 5. All right, starting off here, number 5, shin splints and stress fractures. Now, if you spend enough time rucking, sprinting in boots, or just getting smoked on pavement, your shins took a beating, guaranteed. If you didn't tape your shins at least once, were you even a grunt? Jokes aside, seriously, they don't just go away. These stress fractures, shin splints, they're absolutely claimable, and a lot of guys don't even realize that. The thing with shin splints, and this is why probably a lot of people don't realize that it's claimable or a separate evaluation is warranted, is because if there already is a service-connected compensable ankle or knee on the same lower extremity, so if you have a right knee and ankle that's service-connected and you apply for shin splints, if the only symptom is painful motion of the shin, or if that's what's shown on the exam, then the shin splints will just get wrapped up and rated together with the ankle or the knee. Now, to get a compensable evaluation outside of that and separate from either your ankle or your service-connected knee, you need to show that you've been receiving treatment for 12 months or more, and your shin splints are not responding to said treatment, at which point you might be entitled to a higher evaluation or a separate evaluation. But guaranteed shin splints, you had it, you went through it, you should make a claim. Number 4, hearing loss and tinnitus. Guaranteed if you were in the infantry, you've heard enough gunfire, mortars, IED, and flashbangs in a lifetime. Let's be honest though, who actually wore ear protection the entire time in the field? I'm not here to judge you. I'm not here to say, point a finger, okay? I'm not that guy. I'm just saying it happens, okay? Hearing loss and tinnitus is almost a side effect. It's a known thing that should be just presumptive at this point, okay? That ringing in your ears is permanent. It's not a phone notification, okay? Good news is tinnitus, it's one of the easier VA claims to win. If you served in the infantry and you don't have a hearing-related claim, then you're probably leaving money on the table. Let me break this down a step further, both of these. So hearing loss, it's broken down into two different things that the examiner is going to look at. They're going to look at the average decibel loss, and they're going to look at this Maryland CNC score, which has to do with word recognition. Okay, to receive a compensable evaluation, you need a high decibel loss and to not be able to understand certain words. These are hard to, I'm not going to say fake, because I'm not going to call you that. It's harder to embellish, okay? And they can tell when someone's doing it. Now, one little pro tip here too, for tinnitus, and this blows my mind for some reason. I've seen countless times a veteran will put in for a claim for tinnitus. They go to the exam, and when it comes to the portion about tinnitus, the examiner is going to ask a question like, hey, do you have any ringing in your ear? Do you have any hissing sound? Anything of that nature? And in that instance, more oftentimes than I'd like to say, I've seen where the veteran will say, no, I don't have that. It's like, well, why'd you? And I always ask myself, why'd you put in a claim for it then? Now, once again, not judging you. And maybe those veterans just didn't know that's what the examiner was getting at. Okay? So, If you have a claim for hearing loss and tinnitus, specifically tinnitus, and you go in and they start talking and asking you about the hissing and the buzzing sound, that's what he's getting at, okay? Coming in at number 3, knee injuries, whether that's meniscus, ACL, MCL, cartilage damage. Okay, between those endless ruck marches, jumping off 5-ton trucks, and carrying all that gear that should have taken 3 people, but instead it was only you. Yeah, you got your knee shredded. So, if after 4 years of being in the infantry, if that, made you feel like the 80-year-old man walking with that messed up gait, think about the knee. Once you have that knee injury and your gait's messed up, you're walking a little funny, that also affects your hips and your back. Pro tip, file a claim for those too. Okay? Think about the knees as well. You can have up to 4 separate compensable evaluations for your knee, depending on the limitation of motion, whether that's flexion or extension. You can have another compensable evaluation based on instability. And if you have meniscus or other damage, then you can get a 4th knee evaluation assigned. Okay? Knees are no jokes. If you need to, if there's nothing in your service treatment records in your file, get a buddy statement talking about a knee injury that happened or occurred in service, because it can go a long way to prove your claim. Number 2, back, spine pain, neck pain. Every grunt knows the feeling of waking up on a rock after sleeping in the field and wondering why you feel worse than when you laid down. Add in years of heavy rucks, bad posture under load, and it's no surprise that chronic back pain is one of the top infantry injuries. Here's the thing, don't let the VA underrate it. Back injuries can impact your mobility, sleep, daily function. Okay? So make sure you detail and describe what's going on. Now, if you have a knee injury, like in number 3, and you have a gait issue, guarantee you have a back injury. Guarantee you probably have a hip injury as well, possibly ankles and feet. All these things add up. All these secondary conditions add up. All of these added up together, going to put you closer to in that 100 club, I guarantee it. And the number 1 injury that every grunt knows all too well is shoulder problems. Whether you were the guy carrying the saw, carrying all the other heavy gear, or doing 200 push-ups before breakfast, plain and simple, your shoulders were not designed for that kind of abuse. But the Army didn't care, the Navy didn't care, the Corps didn't care. Okay, rotator cuff, tears, strains, sprains, arthritis. Shoulders take a pounding in the infantry, plain and simple, and they only get worse with age. Now, rating-wise, you can have up to 2 evaluations for your shoulders. Generally, it doesn't happen because your shoulders got to be pretty jacked up for that to be the case. Good news is, though, with just painful motion and no other limited range of motion, that warrants a 20% evaluation, which is higher than what it was historically. So if you're service connected for a shoulder condition and it's less than 20, then you need to put in for an increase today. If you go back 10, 15, 20 years ago, the standard for painful motion of a shoulder joint was just a 10% evaluation. I still see files that a shoulder is rated at a 0 or at 10, and the vet doesn't know, you should put in for a claim for increase. Because if you have painful motion, then it's only going up. Your overall combined is going up. Shoulders rarely, if ever, get better like your knee. You can tear up a knee, tear an ACL, and have surgery, and it'll get back to mostly where it was. I say mostly because there's always the case out there that it doesn't quite recover the same. Shoulders, though, yeah, doesn't happen with the shoulders. It seems like the problems with the shoulders only get worse over time. So, put in your claim for shoulder injuries. Get a buddy statement if you need to. But 20% evaluation for both shoulders should be a given. All right, just a quick recap here of the 5 things that every infantry vet knows all too well, whether that's shin splints, hearing loss, tinnitus, knee problems, back problems, or shoulder problems. Okay, as I've already hinted at, there's plenty of other conditions that could also be associated with being and infantrymen, whether that's your feet, your hips, your ankles, okay? If you have the ringing in your ears, okay, the tinnitus, and that causes a headache, there's a headache, okay? If you're taking so much medication for the pain involved with your knees, your back, your hips, your feet, and that also gave you gastroesophageal reflux disease or GERD along the way, then that's claimable as well. You got to start somewhere, depending on where you're at. If you're at 10, if you're at 50, if you're at 90, no matter where you're at, you got to start somewhere. You got to start and build from that to get up to that 100 club. Okay, on top of it, there's plenty of other conditions that could be due to or related with being an infantryman. Okay, this is the MOS where, you know, you'd go to these briefings and they'd say, hey, go out and here's your mission, go destroy the enemy. Sadly, you're destroying your body along the way. Now, all the above, we didn't even get to mental health. Okay? If you went out and did all this, put yourself through all that pain, went out and destroyed the enemy, guarantee there's some depression, some anxiety. Okay? Many of these conditions, all of them, I should say all of them are claimable. All of them can be compensable. Do yourself a favor. Put in a claim. If you have any questions about should I or shouldn't I, drop me a comment. I'll help you the best I can. All right, wrapping it up here, do me a favor. If you watch this video and felt like I gave you enough information to where you can confidently file your next claim as related to one of these conditions, then you owe me a thumbs up. Drop me a comment here. Let me know which military tradition or saying do you still use on the daily today. I'm going to tell you about mine. I didn't use it. Guy I knew. He used it, made me smile every time. He called everyone young man. Hey, young man, young man. Okay? It sure made for some interesting, funny interactions with some older people. But young man was one of my favorite. Also, please subscribe for no fluff VA claim tips broken down with a little humor and some honesty. I'm Mr. X. Thank you for being with me. And this is the VA Top 5.